What's up, YouTube? It's your boy. I'm everyone's boy, TheTkMoss. Today, I got us on a professional basketball player. She's one of the best in the world at what she does. She's originally from Georgia, played for Richmond University, and also she's one of 20 spiders with 1,000 points. This woman is big time. Give it up for Kristina King.
Hey everybody, Kristina King here. Thank you for that great introduction.
Thanks. So, how's everything going so far?
It's going really well. Started out this morning with a workout, typical day. Just hanging out for a little bit before I get some more work done. So, what about you?
Same, just been working, trying to get this interview going because a lot of people don't know. I've been trying to set this up between you and I for a while now. But with your schedule and my schedule, we've been so busy. But finally, we have it though.
Yeah, and last week unfortunately I got sick, so that was a definite setback. But happy to be here. Happy we finally got to connect. So
yeah. So are you in the States right now? Or are you in Lebanon?
So I'm actually in the States. I got back about, I got back 3 weeks ago, but I was on the West Coast for a little bit. So I spent about 3 weeks out there and then just got back to the East Coast like last week. So
yeah. So how's Lebanon like over there? Because I know a lot of people probably never even been there before.
Yeah. So technically it's a part of the Middle East, but according to like Eurobasket and whatnot, they consider it a part of Asia. But it's actually really, really beautiful. So I was in Beirut and I was located like right on the Mediterranean Sea, and it is gorgeous. Like it gets a bad rep because everybody thinks, the Middle East, it's not safe. And there was no issues there. The people are really nice. And they got, this past year they had like over 9 WNBA players signed to play. So it was just amazing competition. And it was just a great opportunity. Plus, they pay really well out in the Middle East. So it's just a great experience overall.
Yeah, and before I ask you more about your professional where you're at now, can we talk about more of Richmond University? How you got there?
Yeah,
I know you like I said before, you're on the 1,000-point club. You're obviously a great basketball player. So I think a lot of people would like to know some of your Richmond University stuff.
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time growing up on both the West Coast and the East Coast. So I spent the latter half of my high school career on the East Coast. And before I went to Richmond, my dream school was to go to Stanford. But then I went up on a visit there, and they had amazing academics. It was like considered one of the Ivy Leagues of the South, quote unquote. And then, it had a D1 basketball program. We were sponsored by Nike. So it was kind of just like a all around package because like for me, I always was a student athlete, student being very, the first primary aspect of my career because, eventually I'll have to hang up the shoes and I'll need something to fall back on. So, going into choosing a school, like Richmond has one of the top business programs, and they have at the time they had one of the only leadership schools in the country. So I was a little bit ambitious and ended up double majoring in business administration and leadership studies. So that was one of my main things going in there, was that I wanted a highly competitive academic program. And then also I didn't want to sacrifice basketball. So, I was looking at Ivy League schools, but their basketball programs aren't as competitive. So I wanted, a top basketball program as well. And then, of course, being sponsored by Nike wasn't, a negative aspect at all.
Yeah, I guess anybody would be want to be sponsored by Nike. But yeah, exactly. I can understand why Richmond University would want you. You was a captain on your senior team. During your four times there in high school, you averaged 17 points, first team all regional. So you were a star. So I totally get that.
You've definitely done your research. But yeah, it was kind of weird because I transferred into Georgia midway through my high school career. So, I spent a couple years out on the West Coast and in one of the most competitive leagues out there. Like we had, Courtney Vandersloot was playing in our league, Angie Bjorklund, both who went to top programs are playing in the WNBA, like playing in high programs overseas. So like that was my high school, and I'm coming in, I'm young for my age. So I was 12 going into high school and I'm playing against these girls who were like top WNBA prospects. And I was just like, whoa, this is a shocker. So, it's a great experience. And then coming into Georgia where, the pace on the East Coast is a lot faster, a lot more athletic. Like getting both sides of it and being able to kind of have that from such a young age made it easier to transition into college basketball.
Yeah, because at Richmond, that's a lot of people don't know that's Division 1, but that's Division 1. It's not easy. It's not easy to still go to class, and then you got to go to practice. Might be hurt, and then you still got to play. It's not easy as much as people want to say it is, but
yeah,
college you lived it.
Was probably like the hardest 4 years of my life. Like you said, balancing your schedule, but it's just, you have to incorporate like weightlifting, and then you have your basketball practice, and then not only that, like you have to get in the gym apart from just your basketball practices. You have to get in and shoot. You have to get in with the coaches and get extra training in for the games. And then on top of that, going to class, and like with games, what people don't understand either is that like you're traveling a lot. So you leave, the day before, you spend the night at wherever you're playing at, and then you play the next day and come back that night. So it's a lot of late nights, early mornings, traveling, still staying on top of your classes. And, yes, Richmond is D1. It is a mid-major, but mid-majors are, definitely on the come up more and more nowadays. We had one of the top programs in our conference with Dayton, but, it's tough. Like you play top teams, like, going through my 4 years, we played teams like Miami and Temple and Xavier, top programs. So,
teams that was in the NCAA tournament.
Exactly. So, the competition is very, very high. So you have to, compete on the court, but also in the classroom as well, because at the end of the day, you still have to graduate and get a degree and have your grades so that you can, participate on the court. So it was definitely hard, but I mean, you grow so much in those 4 years, and you learn so much about yourself and just what you want out of life. And then it instills in you a lot of discipline so that when you graduate, and like for me going pro, I already had the work ethic and everything that I've had since, high school and college. And I knew what I needed to do to, make it to that next level. So.
And then also because of all the hard work, after your 4 years at Richmond, you was given a WNBA trial by the Atlanta Dreams. Could you tell us about that? That's pretty big.
Yeah. So, you walk in, and it's like all the coaches are lined up on the sideline. So you have Michael Cooper there, all the assistants. One of the assistants is actually working you out, and then you have their trainers there as well. So you're going through their whole workout. It's just you, and literally they're just sitting there critiquing and whatnot. And, a couple of times he would stop the drill and like give me some advice or like a pointer or challenge me. And when I say it was one of the best experience, one of the hardest workouts I've ever had to do, but it was just so eye-opening and whatnot, because, getting to be on that stage in front of those people and just like get your name out there. It's, you can't get that anywhere else. And it's an experience that nobody can ever take away from you. So.
And then with all those coaches on the sidelines, were you nervous or anything? Because I know a lot of other people would have been nervous, maybe mind racking. So that's kind of interesting right there.
Yeah, it was definitely very nerve-wracking. I remember going into it, I was like starting to shake at first. I was like, okay, calm down. You play basketball for how many years of your life? Like, this is just another day in the office. And like once I started getting into the groove of things, and, your adrenaline's pumping, I kind of settled down and, had a really good showing. I did really well in the workout. So.
And then, because I know you, before that, were you overseas, or was that right after college?
No, so I actually, I went overseas right out of college. I went to Romania, and then midway through the season, I got a better contract to go to Iceland and play. And then after that, I stayed the year working out, going to different events, international events, to get on the WNBA radar. So I went to an Olympic qualifying event in Taiwan, which was one of the most insane and coolest things I've ever got to do. Like you're literally playing against the Olympic teams from, Korea, Taiwan, China, Japan.
Wow.
They're teams that like compete in the Olympics because, they're competing to get a spot in the Olympics. So, going to that and getting to compete against those top players was like unreal. And then the fans there, like all the stadium is packed every game, loud. After the game, they're running up to you, trying to get pictures and autographs. Like it was just a great experience. But going to something like that, and then in Georgia, they actually hosted a Eurobasket camp. So it was like a 2-day camp, and Michael Cooper ended up coming the second day for the championship game. And we had girls who had like had WNBA. Some of them had gotten drafted. Some of them had experience in the WNBA. So it was a really good competition. And he was there watching. And then I got a call like 2 days later saying, hey, we want you to come in for camp. So, yeah.
Yeah, I bet that was very, very competitive. But
yeah.
I know you said you've been to Iceland. I know you've been to Spain, Lebanon. Can you tell the people all the countries you've been to? Because I don't think a lot of people just know how much places you've been.
Yeah. So far, well, I'll be soon to go to 8. But I played in Romania, Iceland, the Dominican Republic, Taiwan, Lebanon, Spain, and Switzerland. And then I actually head to France at the beginning of June. And then I just signed a contract to go actually back to France and play in France this year. So, yeah.
That's unbelievable. Just you're probably in that 1% in the entire world to travel to all those places. So just alone, like not even basketball, that's very, very rare.
Yeah. No, I mean, coming out, like everybody was always like, do you want to play in the WNBA? And I'm like, yes, obviously the WNBA is the first goal, but I always wanted to travel too. So I'm like, I want to play overseas. I want to be able to go to different countries and just immerse yourself in the culture and then play and get paid to do what you love. So I like getting to see as much of this world is like one of my top goals. So.
And then speaking of culture, out of all those countries you've been to, what culture would you say was your favorite?
I'd probably have to say Switzerland. I loved the area I was in. I was in the French-speaking
Very
part.
peaceful.
Yeah, it was so peaceful. Everybody was like very kind, and there was always something to do. It was beautiful there. Switzerland is literally such a beautiful country. And just, I mean, the food was amazing. The people were amazing. The country itself was just really just amazing.
And then, since that was the best, which one would you say was maybe the worst or maybe your least favorite? If you have one.
I mean, there's something good about every country I've really been to. Like, in Romania, it's not the most expensive country. People there aren't very rich. It's a lot of poor people and, homeless. But at the same time, like, the natural history of the country itself is just, you can't get that. There's nothing that compares to it in the States. So, right. Country, like you take something good, like of course in different situations you're always going to have something that's like not quite like home, but in every situation it's a growing experience and you learn from it and it just helps you as you further your career.
So would you say that you were glad that you went overseas instead of maybe a WNBA contract? Would you say that was going to those countries was worth it?
I definitely think it's worth it. I mean, obviously, if a WNBA contract comes about, I would jump on it in a heartbeat. But it's a nice like secondary option. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I can just go overseas," and it's like, no, they can really hoop out there. The competition level is really good. I mean, you see nowadays more and more Europeans are coming to the States to play college basketball, are getting drafted in the WNBA and even in the NBA on the men's side. So the leagues overseas are very, very competitive, and they're right up there with the WNBA level. So,
and then what I say with the WNBA, if the WNBA keeps getting more popular, then it makes the overseas more popular. And with the WNBA, I know the average salary is around $50,000. So that's it's one of those things like the WNBA hopefully can keep getting more popular so you guys can be making more money.
Exactly. I mean, with the WNBA, like it's a shorter season. It's 4 months long, and part of the draw of overseas is that it's a longer season. The money you're making over there is pretty much tax free, so your salary, you're just pocketing it. And then they take care of like your housing situation, all your expenses, whether that's travel, food, anything, they're taken care of. So while here, like, yes, you might be getting paid that salary, it's taxed. And then as well, you have to worry about your transportation, your housing, and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a little bit of a different setup. And, overseas, they really take care of you. And I mean, I think that as more people are starting to come around to the WNBA and as it keeps growing and keeps, housing international talent is just going to get bigger, and, they'll have to draw in more money too. So.
And then with the WNBA, that's probably maybe about I say Maya Moore, because she was a former MVP, she's a former champion. Candace Parker, former champion, LA Sparks. Those people make more than the average salary, but a lot of people they don't know that. And then that's one thing that I would like for the WNBA to do is just keep getting better and better. But when you was growing up, did you ever inspire who inspired you to be a basketball player? Like, was it maybe Kobe Bryant, Lisa Leslie, Al Horford?
Well, I would definitely say, I mean, I'm a diehard Kobe fan. So yeah, I wear number 8, but I would have to say on the women's side, definitely Lisa Leslie and Candace Parker. But I was always a very big Diana Taurasi fan. I loved her game. I loved her passion, just everything about her and her embodiment of basketball. Like, I just tried to mimic as much as I can. Just her heart, the way she attacks the game. I look to Kobe Bryant for like his work ethic. Like, he just literally, he works out till he passes out. So, definitely Kobe Bryant. Lisa Leslie is just a game changer. And my dad is from Cali, so he was always a big Lisa Leslie fan. And then, growing up and as I started to understand basketball and the game more, I started to always watch Diana Taurasi. So.
Okay, that's interesting, because I know a lot of people say Kobe, so I'm not surprised by that. I totally get that. And then one other thing, like with I think the WNBA. What do you think the WNBA needs to do? Maybe just to get a little more popular. Like I always thought maybe have a Maya Moore, Candace Parker sit sideline and interview him, something like that during NBA games. Because I know they did that with Candace Parker a bit, but yeah. I think they stopped doing that. I believe so.
Yeah, I think honestly, like, they just need to become more engaging with like the kids generation, because so much of our younger generation is like, oh, the NBA this and the NBA that, and it's like we have women that are competing at a high level doing amazing things. And if you look at the statistics, like, majority of the women graduate from college and have their degree, and that's not something that a lot of people highlight. So I think the more you can,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like, it's rare that you find women that graduate, that leave college early. They might graduate early and then go into the league, but most of the time they're getting a 4-year degree or a 5th year, depending on if they had to redshirt or got hurt. But yeah, majority of women get their degree and then go pro. So I think that's like one of the biggest highlights that you can, extend, especially to the younger generations coming up, because it's like, we're very much education first. And then, we have women that are competing at a really high level and doing, great things and can really hoop. So
yeah, just starting from the root down and working your way up. And then another thing, like, because I remember I was watching the All-Star weekend and All-Star game. I remember watching the 3-point contest. This girl, Allie, her name's Allie Quigley. She was balling, and it was fun. Like, I was into it. Because these women were competing, giving everything they had, and I had a good time watching it.
Exactly.
I just think more people need to give it a chance.
Yeah, I think because, we can't necessarily, now it's changing more. Women are being able to dunk and whatnot in the games. But I think we do a lot of different things that, isn't as common in the men's game. Like, of course, men can, pass, shoot, dunk, all that kind of stuff. But just the finesse of women and being able to be, 6 foot, over 6 foot, and that athletic for a woman, like, I think that it's amazing in and of itself, and we're right up there with being very competitive. So I think that we don't get as much credit for what we're doing, and the marketing behind it needs to definitely like improve, and we need to have
agree with that, definitely.
Yeah, we need to have backing from, other women's basketball players, and, the younger kids coming up. Like, they need to have these kind of role models, because, like I said, we are doing great things, and our dedication to our sport, like, we live this, we breathe this. Basketball, it becomes, what we do and what we dedicate so much of our time to. So to be recognized on that level and, have the kind of marketing efforts behind it too, I think that it will just improve the game. And, once we start generating money more, then, we'll see more people come through.
And also, I think we need more like NBA players speaking out for the women, saying the product is good and all that. Because I believe LeBron James did that. I don't know how long ago, but I think think LeBron was doing that, I think.
Yeah, they had like a whole, I know the NBA had like a whole campaign, LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, they all had like a few commercials come out where they were speaking about the women's game, and just like how much they loved watching the sport and supported it. And you see a lot of them at, their different games and whatnot, if they're in the area. So I think, the more that we can get that kind of support and backing, the better it'll be.
Yeah. So when does your next the season start for you? When does that start back?
So I have an international basketball event June 1st through 4th in France, and then my actual season doesn't start until September 1st, I believe. So I'll probably have to report for like training camp and stuff in August.
Okay, and then that's for the Lebanien, the one in Lebanien, right? Or is that?
No, this one's for the one in France.
France, okay.
Yeah.
Also, you're everywhere. Okay.
Yeah, I stay on the move a lot. So.
Yeah. So right now you just getting back. You're hurt. You say you came back from rehab, right?
Yeah, so it's just like knee rehab, just proactive and whatnot, making sure my body's all good and finely tuned, because it's a long season and you got to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So just making sure everything is good and just training hard. So.
And then I had another big question, because I know I don't think a lot of little girls are watching the WNBA. I know maybe a few play, but what do you think women like yourself and Candace Parker, Maya Moore needs to do? Do you think they need to help maybe talk to the little girls more or go to the schools? Because I don't know if they're doing that exactly. Because I think that would be a big help.
Yeah, I know some of the WNBA players are, getting engaged, hosting camps, doing clinics and whatnot. And I think the more that they can get out into their community and, meet families, talk to them, host like, small camps and whatnot, I think that it'll just push their brand out there, but also the WNBA's brand out there. And the more they get involved with that, the more people want to go see them in person and support them in person. So I know, in this technology driven, time and generation, we can just pick up our phone and watch a game, so it's kind of affecting the in-game experience. But if you're meeting them and they're coming to you and doing clinics and whatnot, I think it helps push people to want to go in person and support them and see them up close.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because I know if some of these little girls have someone to look up to, because I know maybe some of them look up to maybe music artists or actors, but you hear you don't hear too many women, little girls talking about WNBA stuff. So I totally agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I mean, sports is becoming more and more geared towards younger women. And I know more and more young girls are getting involved now, because at first it used to be like, oh no, like I'm a girl, I don't want to get into sports. But I think, a lot of push has been for like, no, you can still be girly and whatnot and like still play sports. It's not, the stereotype has definitely changed a lot. So
right, absolutely.
So the more that, they are looking up to these like big time female athletes, and the female athletes just keep improving and keep getting better. Like I don't know if you watched, but the McDonald's All-American game, we had a girl from Georgia who was dunking in it, and you're like,
I think I did see that on ESPN.
Yeah, you're like 16 17 years old dunking. Like that's awesome. That should be promoted even more, and younger women should be looking up to that. And then take that a step further in college, you had Brittany Griner and whatnot dunking the basketball. Like that's something that's amazing. And and then Candace Parker, Lisa Leslie doing that in the WNBA and pro level. So I think just the more that we expand our brand and get our names out there, in the WNBA and then also overseas, and start connecting more with the community, we'll just see a rise in support.
I agree. Do you have any advice for any girl? Maybe if it was a college girl, is maybe a little girl watching, what would you say to them if they want to maybe play college basketball or maybe professional basketball?
I would say, become a student of the game. Like really kind of figure out what your not calling is, but like what you're good at, and really work to improve that. And then you have to get into the gym. Like nothing is done watching TV or whatnot. Like, yes, you can watch film all day, but if you're not going out and actively practicing it efficiently, don't just go into the gym and say, oh, I got up like 400 shots today. Well, how many of those did you actually make? Like every time I go into the gym, it's perfecting my practice. So, you know, I go in and I might make 500 shots, but I'm making them and they're game-like shots. So, you know, I might spend an hour in the gym, but it was the most efficient hour because I got up and made 500 shots. So, you know, something like that where you're going in and trying to practice perfectly instead of just going in and being like, oh, you know, I have an hour in the gym. I'm just going to shoot, you know, a shot from the 3, and then I'm going to shoot some half court shots. And then, you know, I'm going to just casually walk through this. It's like, no, you're practicing game-like shots every time you go into the gym. So, or just whatever it is, you might become the best ball handler. Well, every time you go through, you got to imagine there's a defender on you as you're going and making your moves, or, you know, post moves. You got to pretend there's somebody, you know, on your back trying to block your shot. So just whatever position and skill level you're at, just try to perfect every time you go in.
And then you could also have maybe bring a friend with you, maybe compete with that person. Because
exactly,
the only how you're going to get better is by working hard and working against your competition, bringing in anybody you have.
Exactly. I know, you know, a couple girls from here that we went to high school together and whatnot, but when we go into the gym, everybody's like, wait, you guys are friends? And we're like, yeah, because when we're on the court, like, we're going at each other. And that's how you know, like, that's a true friend, because, you know, so many times now in this day and age, everybody's like, oh, well, they might not like me if I go so hard against them. And, you know, I just want to be friends. But your friends are there to help push you and make you better and want to see you be the best you can be. So, you know, the competition level, like, that's a given. You have to go and you have to compete your hardest. And that just pushes them to be better too. One of my best friends in college, we were the same position. And we came in my freshman year and our coach was like, all right, y'all are competing for the same spot. Like, that's just what it is. And so we took that, and by our junior, senior year, we were both starting. We were both getting really good minutes, and we pushed each other every day in practice to be the best, so that by our senior years, we were competing at the top of our game. And that's just how you have to look at it. It's not anything against them. It's not, oh, I don't like you. It's that I want to see you get better. So I'm going to push you as hard as I can, so that in turn, it's making me better too. So
to be the best version of yourself.
Exactly.
And then with that, do you want to give your maybe your social media or any plugs that you want to do before we head out?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's KingofQueens_08. So yeah.
Okay, and then I'll make sure to put that in the description and all that for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
And wait. And then before you go, could you just stay there? Like, I'm gonna stop the broadcast. I want to thank you off the stream personally. Just
yeah, and thank you for having me on here.
You're welcome, anytime. And with that, guys, we had Kristina King. She's a great basketball player. I hope you guys learned something. Work hard, compete, believe in your dream. And until then, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.